the Lounge with Travefy Academy, where we get to hear from travel industry voices and experts to learn more about their story and also what they see on the horizon for travel professionals. And I'm Stephanie Grice, and our guest today is Jennifer Jacob and Robin Bradley, who are both co-founders of Teak. So welcome to the Lounge, Jennifer and Robin. We're really excited to have you on here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And this is also a special episode because it's part of our How I Built This series, which is really cool. And this is our second one of this. So it's a really good chance that we get to go more in depth with different travel professionals and learn, how they built their business. And just excited to, share their story with us all. So thank you for also allowing us to be our second one to do. So you're not the guinea pig, but a little bit here still. So we appreciate it.
We're honored to be here.
Yes. It'll be awesome. But first though, can you both just tell us a little bit more about yourselves and just how you got started in the travel industry? And also where did the travel inspiration come from?
Well, we have two different stories, so we'll each tell our own little side, but I had originally been in human resources and I just kept on being distracted by travel. And I heard someone say, whatever distracts you every day is what you should be doing. And so I just felt really summoned to dive into travel. And to start the company, I actually signed up with a company called workaway.info and went to Italy and stayed for 3 months and popped around Europe to get content and just to gain credibility with the audience. And so I used that as a jumping off point to start Explore Tour. And that's how I got into the industry. I had studied abroad, but outside that, I had not done any traveling. And it's just something that I always wanted to do. And we actually started out strictly as an itinerary creation company. And Travefy was the very first product I ever used in the business. So Travefy is actually the foundation of how Explore Tour was created. So this is all full circle right now.
That's awesome.
That is so funny. So my story is a little bit different than Jen. I would never have called myself a traveler before. Like I wouldn't say I was this globe trotter or wanted to see the whole world at any point in time. I'm from Florida. So I did the Caribbean, which is pretty easy to get to from South Florida where I'm from. But nothing really crazy. It was always an interest, but it's who doesn't love travel type of thing. So I actually got in and linked up with Jen because I have a background in sales and marketing. So I was doing corporate marketing and sales and all that good stuff in a very corporate setting, but I have this entrepreneurial spirit. I love business. I love being involved in business. So Jen brought me on when she first started Explore Tour. She's globetrotting in Italy, and I was in charge of social media and all the blogs and the marketing materials. So that kind of segued into my knowledge of the travel industry was the content creation, Jen kind of feeding me what I needed to know about it in order to make content that actually resonated with our audience. But yeah, from there, me and my husband, fiance at the time, moved from South Florida up to Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I was well, I don't know what to do now. I need to find a job, but we weren't in Green Bay all year. So it was kind of a weird situation. So Jen's you should book travel. I was okay, here we go. And kind of just jumped in and got in my own little book of business. And I really loved it. I loved being a small business owner in my own right. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And are you both with Explore Travel or do you have separate?
So Explore Tour is now a host and everyone does operate under that branding, but I still do own the agency of Explore Tour. And we'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about Teak, but Robin has stepped back fully from booking.
Yeah. So I'm totally not client facing. I say that's almost a little bit of COVID PTSD. But yeah, in order to truly grow Teak to where it is today, I just needed to put my whole brain into it. So
yeah, absolutely. And with that, with Teak, it looks so cool. And I'm really excited to learn more. But first though, what is Teak and where did the concept for it come from?
So Teak is it's a full service, almost marketing consultant. We do a lot of things. And I used to think that was going to confuse people when we first started because I have a background in branding and design and websites from my marketing experience. And Jen has that like HR systems oriented, like organization piece. And we talked about like getting in because COVID hit, it really stunk, like everything, all of our commissions went out the door in a matter of like 2 weeks. So we were like, we got to do something different. So because people in the industry were already coming to us about our social media, coming to us about our branding, we were sharing our workflows with people inside of our original host agency. So we got this idea where it's like, what if we take a step away from the clients and we serve the advisor? And then it almost like kind of COVID proofed us. Cause again, PTSD, like I was not about to lose all my hard work in a matter of weeks because of like a stupid virus again. So we sat down and we were like, there's a market for it. There was like very few people at the time. There was still some who were doing systems. And then there were, of course, like there's 1.5 million like branding and website people out there, but there was no like one-stop shop. And because we're so passionate about like system efficiency, the brand experience, like really elevating your travel business, it only made sense for us to like combine the design and combine the systems together, because part of your brand is your client experience, and like your client experience should show off your brand values. So we kind of took it all together and lumped it into this big, beautiful service suite that we have now. So we do branding, we do website design for clients, we do systems implementation, and a whole host of things. So yeah, that was like my word vomit answer, but I hope that answered the question.
That's awesome.
Kind of,
It's crazy though that COVID, it's like that it did COVID proofed. That's
well, and we had actually created a training program within Explorator that was like 10 modules, and we had brought on 7 advisors in February of 2020. Haha, jokes on me. But that actually opened our eyes as well to how can people recruit better? How can people grow their business faster? How can people have a turnkey business that they walk into? Because Robin and I know the struggle of stumbling every step of the way. We were under a host, we changed and went independent. We were under one consortia, we changed consortias, we changed branding and website. Like we've done all of these things that feel very clunky in the moment, but it allowed us to have perspective and think, what if we could make this simpler for everyone else and not have this like each year young hazers mentality in the industry?
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so cool though. That's really cool how that all just came together. And what were like some of those first conversations, first steps that you had to start saying? Because I'm just thinking of it for people listening who want to start to grow their business or start that business. And what are those first steps you took?
It was a lot of like 5-hour long phone calls. I'm pretty sure my husband's like, are you cheating on me? Like, who are you constantly on the phone with? Cause it was like, I have an idea and we're like talking and I'm walking, and like Jen is very, again, HR. So legal, we knew the bones, we knew the goal, we knew what we wanted to do. But the weirdest thing, we kind of just dove in, like we did all the legal stuff, like get your name, file for insurance, like all this stuff. Jen did all that stuff because I wouldn't even know where to start. But we did all this stuff to get like legally legit, and then we went for it. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways we tell people. It's like, if you wait for the perfect moment, if you wait until your marketing is like dead set, your service suite is 100%, like you're never going to start. And I always think back and I'm like, and Jen is a jumper. Jen is like, I have this half idea and we're going for it. And I'm like I need to know every step of the process. It's not perfect. Like I'm very OCD about stuff, but with Jen, it's like, she challenges me to like, okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. We can progress and not like aim for perfection and tweak along the way. Cause that's the fun part of business, right? Like your model is going to tweak over the years, like the 2 years we've been in business, our services have tweaked and our processes of like onboarding and offboarding and all of that stuff. So if there is any listeners out there, that's like the biggest piece of advice I would say is like, if you do have that idea, that great like business thing that you're contemplating, don't wait for it to be perfect. Because if we would have waited for it to be perfect, we wouldn't be like a 6 figures business talking to you right now. You know, it would just still be that we had this idea and then we got busy, and COVID was really that good time to be like, nothing's working, like nothing's happening. So like, we might as well, we're workaholics by nature. It's not good. We really try to like not be that way, but I love business. Like I love growing the business. I love feeding into the business. And so does Jen. So I think COVID, it was like, well, now what? And Teak came about. So I don't know. That was like the non-logical first steps.
We went from like a call in August to launching at the end of September. If that like gives you any like foundation of understanding, like our LLC officially went through in the beginning of October. We were just like, let's go. So Robin's doing this like beautiful website and fiddling with the brand, which has evolved since then drastically. But I'm doing the bank account and the LLC and getting those pieces handled and getting, you know, contracts tweaked so that when clients actually start working with us, we have something for them to sign. So we really like hit the gas pedal. And I think giving us something in September of 2020 gave us something to be excited about. And it was a time of grief for so many people. And we were able to take that and turn it into something that hopefully could better the future for everyone. Like Explorator had just redone a website and it was like, okay, everyone's redoing their websites right now. Everyone's evaluating their systems. We will never get a pause like this again. So let's embrace it. And ultimately, Robin reminded me of this. We actually asked a bunch of colleagues, like, is there a need for this? Would you be interested in this? And so we didn't necessarily beta test it, but we did test the market from an interest perspective. And then we just hit the ground running.
Oh, that is so cool. That's awesome. Just going. I love that though. Go full strength ahead. And you're right. Yeah. I mean, what better time? What else is happening? You know,
it's like all of the good bones were there, like the legal stuff. Nobody was going to like come and sue us. Like everything was legit. And then we knew what we wanted to do. We knew who we wanted to serve and we knew our brand. And then like we went in. So like marketing wasn't perfect. Like we stumbled through some stuff and we're still tweaking things today. Like it's still, I don't think we'll ever be in that place where it's like, like rest assured, we're great now. And then we expanded to shop products and like all these other ideas and things that some have worked, some haven't. And so, it's been interesting.
So what were those first marketing steps? So how did you start letting people know that you're there?
A lot of it was social media. I will say that was my bread and butter. That's what I knew. I also am a huge, like, I would say nerd. Like I love like research and learning and books, like anything I kind of feel weird about, I always have a book on and I'm like in it. So I learned as much as I could about like email marketing, like social media marketing and outreach. So if like you look at our account today, the aesthetics are great and stuff, but the content is really good. And I think that's what's been attracting people so well. So we constantly came from a place of serving and serving our clients and marketing like tangible takeaways. Instead of just being like, here we are, here's what we do, you should buy from us. It was like, here's how we can help you. And like, here's a quick free resource for you, or here's a quick thing that you can take away from this post and implement today into your workflow to make it more efficient. And I think that's what truly helped our marketing get to where it is today, because that's still the foundation. Everything we post is very educational, like conversation starter, because our North Star is like uniting this industry and like we are all in this together. And when we all do better, we all do better. So I think that is what the initial marketing kind of relied on. Now we obviously expanded to different streams. We have a platform, like a community-based platform. We're doing a newsletter starting soon, like a weekly newsletter of resources and tips and all that good stuff. We're getting into the blogging, like we're doing a lot more, but a lot of it was just like showing up, telling people what we knew and kind of creating that like authority figure in this space so that when people came to us, they were like, oh, you understand, because number one, you've been in my shoes, but like I read that post and it helped me. So like now I trust you. Because that's what marketing, it's all about making sure people know, like, and trust you and infusing your personality with the stuff that people need to hear in the moment. So
we went live a lot in the beginning too, educating about our services. Like Robin and I were very cognizant now that we never want to allow the brand to just be us, because we have grown past just the two of us. And the brand is much more like, we want to say just like all inclusive of everyone in the industry, not just about like us being the forefront of that. However, in the beginning, we realized that people join people, right? So we wanted people to hear from us our why, what we're doing, the enthusiasm, the passion, the background behind it, and the vulnerability, because it was at such a time where people were not in their best mental state. They were not doing their best year ever. And now things are drastically different, and we can speak to how to be successful in a very different light. But then our tone was very much about like, how can you prepare for the things to come? And when we get to a post-COVID world, how can you be ready? And so it was very relational and not just about services, but about meeting people where they were in the moment.
Yeah, that's so important. That was the one thing, even for us doing, webinars and podcasts and all that stuff, for like, just really just how can we be here to support the community is really what it is. And, it is. And it was always really hard, especially with marketing of, a lot of people were like, I don't really want to sell anything, but it's okay. But there's still different ways, letting them know that you are there, showing up. Like, I really like how you said that, Robin, just show up, is just so good. And with all those different things that you tried and that you're still trying, what have you found the most success in? Is there anything in particular, like a certain platform for social media or a certain thing that you're doing that just really has worked well?
I would say Instagram is first and foremost our biggest thing. So in the beginning, that's where everybody came. We did, hashtags were huge for us. And the content was stuff that people like would share, because it wasn't, hey, buy from us. It took that sales piece, because no one likes sales, honestly. Like, I don't know a single person except maybe our admin who hops on sales calls all the time, who like truly loves sales because they feel salesy. Nobody wants to feel like that used car salesman. But like, if you take your marketing and you flip it on its head and you think of your marketing as like serving your clients and like getting them to a place where they understand that they have like a need for your service, and here's how you as an expert can fill it, and changes the game completely. So initially Instagram and doing those educational posts and going live and doing those type of like training events really got our name out there and people to know, like, and trust us. So they used us for their business. And now it's a lot of referrals. I mean, we service our clients really well. Our client experience is really good. And it hasn't always been. That has been something we've been working on, because it used to be just us and we thought we could do the world. There's a time and place to outsource, and systems is a huge one. But I think now that we've got that know, like, and trust factor, people like understand who we are in the industry. Now it comes back to like referrals. And I mean, that's honestly been such a huge piece of marketing for us, is just making sure that no matter how crazy the client project is, we want everybody to walk away with that positive review, so that when they talk to their friend who's also redoing their website or is kind of about their branding and not loving it, so they don't show up on social at all, they go, hey, I felt like this is where Teak came in, and like, this is why you need them. So I would say 70% of the clients we work with now, when they say like where they came from or how they found us, it's like referrals, which is exciting because that's ultimately what we want to do, right? Even in our travel business, like that was my favorite clients, because my referrals, like people giving out referrals, were the clients that I service so well, because they were an ideal client. So then they bring their friends who's probably similar to them. And then it's this like bank of awesome people coming into your like zone of genius. And then you just got to deliver. I think that's another thing. Like, when you get those referrals, when you get to that point, deliver on your promises, over deliver if you can, if you have the ability to. We always want our clients to leave with like, just like a little extra, whether it was me throwing in an additional logo without a charge, or, going outside of our sphere of work to make sure that website was like perfect for them. It always made the difference. So, if you're gonna say you're giving somebody XYZ experience when booking or doing your business, like, they better get that experience and then some. And that's when the real magic happens. And like the massive growth in our business really occurred.
That's really cool. And that's so awesome too. And all of these things can apply in so many different businesses too, and just for travel advisors as well. So that's really cool. And kind of on that, because you mentioned this is having those systems and having people help you. I mean, those are the biggest things that I think is that you grow. And that's awesome. And then you're like, what do I do now? So what are the things that you've learned since starting the business? Like, what are the biggest takeaways? And I know systems was one of them.
So I will piggyback off of what Robin was just talking about, because our workflow to me is, Robin is very like, she's the eyes and I feel like I'm the mouth sometimes. Like I love words, and Robin loves aesthetics and marketing. And to me, the workflow piece is so important. And that's both in travel and our business. And that's the biggest thing that we've learned, is that just like in travel, enforcing your process ensures a more quality experience. When we're helping people create their client experience workflows for their travel business, we're reminding them, please don't forget to make sure that they complete your inquiry form, and then make sure they're signing at this point, and they're, meeting your feedback at this point, and you're working them through the process. But that's the same thing for us. As we've learned in our business, we've realized that we have to set the same expectation for our branding website workflow clients that we do in travel. And we have to create the same level of a quality experience from point of inquiry all the way from point of handoff. So that's something that is really huge to us. And it's something that, as mentioned by Robin, has tweaked along the way. We actually removed website creation for a while because we didn't feel like that client experience was meeting our expectation. And I recently heard someone say, don't have a goal, have a standard, because a standard is what you do on a daily basis, and a goal is the long game. And if you maintain a standard, you'll get to the goal eventually. But I think that's really what we had to step back and say, like, this isn't meeting our standards of a client experience. So we're going to reevaluate this. And Robin and Amanda Lynn, who's our creative designer, dug in, got really granular with every step of that process, redefined it, made it easier, tweaked our templates, everything to do with it, so that when we brought it back, there was no doubt in our mind that every client would walk away with a really positive and smooth experience there.
Yeah. And Jen mentioned Amanda Lynn. We grew our team. I think that when I started the business, I was a bootstrapper. I'm like, I'll DIY it. I'll learn everything I can. And I got it. I don't need to outsource. And then it's like, you get in the business, and us outsourcing has which felt scary. It felt like it served our clients better, because all of a sudden I'm not managing marketing and team operations and business operations and client management and all these things. It's like, I get to focus on my zone of genius, and outsourcing is not like, oh, you need help. You can't do it all. Nobody can do it all. Entrepreneurship is hard. And I think I used to think it was really cute and pretty and so fun when I first started. And now I learned that it's an actual thing. So we grew our team, but we grew our team with the right people. We didn't just hire to hire. We hired when we were ready. Your business has to be ready to expand the team, but we hired good people. So it took us longer to find these people, and that's okay. Because now I know that I'm not in the branding and website anymore, but the experience that Amanda Lynn is delivering because of our systems is probably better than me, because she has 10 years of design experience and I only have 6 in a corporate setting, which isn't pretty and fun and aesthetic all the time. So I think that's been one of the biggest things, running our business like a business and knowing when to outsource and expand when necessary, because it's not a bad thing to ask for help. Everyone needs help. So
and we grew in a really strategic way, I'll add, because a lot of people come to us now and they're like, how did you hire? How do you hire? How do you hire the right people? And we put a lot of processes in place strictly for our hiring. And I'm really defined on how to do the hiring, because that's my background. So requiring certain steps along the way and having those candidates meet obstacles. And then I would loop in Robin for the final interview and make sure that she equally thought as highly of this candidate as I did. But then we would also loop in our financial. We have a contract CFO. So we're not just like flying by the seat of our pants and hiring people and not knowing what we can pay them. We are also, to our credit, we pay well, and we pay what people are worth in not just the industry, but like in their zone of genius. And we get that approved by our contract CFO so that we can know that we're still supporting our goals long-term and not hiring just because there's a task that needs to be done that we're not getting to. So that's been a huge success for us, is just sit back and think, okay, who do we need to hire now? What does that look like? Where's our biggest gap? And strategically fill it with someone that's really skilled in that specific area.
That's so cool. Well, first of all, I just have to say kudos to you both for growing a business in just a short amount of time and hiring people. That is amazing. That's so
scary.
Cool.
It was so scary.
I bet really terrifying. Now you're like, okay. But now it's just still more. And something kind of a little off topic that I want to ask, because you were talking about like all the systems and just, putting all this stuff in place. But one of the top things that you have to be doing in that is just your day-to-day productivity. And is there any productivity tips or things that you found along the way that has helped you?
I'm going to let Robin take this.
Nice. We sure did. This is my jam. I am like, my calendar is time blocked each week. Like there is stuff everywhere. I'm like very organized. I have been since I was like very small. The thing that we use, like our internal client management is our systems management, I guess, because it truly is big picture. Like everything about launches is in there. All of our SOPs are in there. Our hiring, like documents, contracts, everything lives inside of ClickUp. And it's been a little bit of a struggle to get it up and running to the point where we are now. And now it feels very good. So we have like our operations are all in there. Our team meeting happens in there. So like our team is each week coming in on a Monday and filling out like what went right that week. What do you need questions? Like what questions do you have? Where are your bottlenecks? What clients are coming up? Like all of those things are right in this document. And so on Monday, it's like, it's a reoccurring thing. So our system is like, our team system and our management system feels very streamlined, and the templates in ClickUp are amazing. So when a new client signs on, they get the same exact template of like, this is how we treat a client. This is the steps. This is when we hire a gift or like order a gift for our client. All those things are already there. So it's like, just on your to-do list that day. Like you don't necessarily have to think about like, where is this client at? It's like, I know, because I look at their profile and like, I see exactly where they're at in our system and when they owe money, or if we need to send them a reminder about a payment that's upcoming or something like that. So ClickUp has been one of our favorite systems to use in terms of like team management organization. I highly recommend it.
We also don't pick up the phone. I should say that. Like there are a lot of things. We love the 4-hour work week. So while I'm not as systems based as Robin, that is her specialty. And I will admit my faults. It is not my strength, but I am super protective. We call it protecting your peace. We are super protective of our peace. If we need self-care, we're very communicative with each other about that. But we require any call to be scheduled through Calendly. If I have a call with Robin, we even schedule it. Like we don't disrespect each other's time in the way that we interrupt, where she might be in the zone writing a blog post or something like that. I will even like prematurely ask like, hey, do you have a minute to talk? But usually we have a specific time to chat. I texted her last night and was like, hey, do you want to talk at 11:30 before the podcast? Just because we both are a little bit of introverts and we like to emotionally prepare for interaction. Yeah. So we are pretty rigid on how we manage our time, even outside of systems. It has to be on Calendly. It needs to be at a time that works for us. We don't pick up our phones. We don't advertise our phone anywhere. If someone does want to inquire about our services, they get a Calendly link that goes to Morgan. She loves to talk on the phone. So we just are very cognizant of respecting each other's times.
And we do a lot of team communication in Slack. And I think that prevents the text messages, that prevents the email threads that are 12 miles long that you completely lose all sense of like where you should be at in that thread. So team and like instant communication is all done in Slack. And at the end of the day, like I literally have my phone screen set up. So it's like right now I am in like work focus mode. So the only notifications I can get are email and Slack and Mighty Networks and like the specific systems, ClickUp, the things like that. And then when that work is off, then my personal is on, and like I don't get notifications about emails because like right then and there, it's my personal time and I'm focused on, you know, going on the boat with my husband or walking my dog or whatever it is. So boundaries are huge for us. I think we've learned to be really good about them, and we're very passionate because when I was a travel advisor, I had no boundaries. So you could reach me at any time of the day. And then the burnout happened so quickly and I was miserable and I hated it and I wasn't serving my clients well. So people are always like, well, how do you do that? How do you invoke boundaries? And it's like, it's just, you got to find your groove. And like, when you find it, you need to honor that because it's so crucial to truly being a good business owner. Because I thought if I'm not available 24/7, I'm going to lose clients. And that wasn't the case because the good clients understood that. They have their own boundaries. Like the clients that were kind of time sucks and like took thousands of effort, like and calls and emails, those were the ones who didn't respect it and ultimately weren't my ideal client. So boundaries are huge.
We're big on boundaries. We
That's
do a lot of trainings on them.
Well, when Jen said we don't pick up the phone, your face was like this. And that's what we always get. Like, that's like the most natural reaction for a business owner because it's like, what? But yeah, everything's scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for the travel piece too. Like I know I'm talking about branding, website, workflow, but everything that we do in our business for Teak, we also parallel with Explorator, and we empower others to do the same. So like my voicemail says, if you have a travel inquiry, submit it on our website. And if this is an emergency, you can text, but otherwise texts are reserved for in-travel clients. Our away messages direct people to the inquiry form and establish our office hours. If we want to respond to someone on a weekend, we will type it to get it out of our brain, but we'll schedule it for Monday morning at 8 a.m. So people think that we're only replying within office hours. So we definitely practice what we preach, but we're preaching that even on the travel side because people think you can't have boundaries in travel, and that's simply not true. We are reinforcing bad behavior. And I'm sorry if this is offensive to anyone, but you reinforce bad behavior when you're responding via text, you're responding on the weekend, you're breaking down your own boundaries. It's not that the client's being disrespectful of your time. It's that you're disrespecting your own time and reinforcing that behavior time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think all of that makes so much sense. And a lot of it, even that you said, is just such simple things like the settings you have on your phone. Like I actually did not realize that's how it works. And now I'm going to go set it up like that after. So thanks for the inspo. Love it. Yes. And Calendly, using that. And it makes so much sense. So no, that's really cool. And so during I hate to say during the pandemic, because I know we still are here, but when we really were like, oh my God, what is happening? What did that look like for you guys? So in terms of also, because I'm sure everything was just crazy and just the emotions in it and, you know, not knowing what do I do with my time or there's too much because when there's cancellations and things like that, obviously. But what does that look like or currently still look like dealing with that during the pandemic?
Well, for both of us, and for like anyone at that time, but to me particularly, business owners in this industry, it was grief and resentment, right? Like that was the first emotion. It put a lot of emphasis on realizing that people didn't have solid terms and conditions and they should have been charging planning fees because now their entire year of work is literally for nothing. So there's just a lot of emotion, and then all of your hard work, whether you were being paid for it or not, is going out the window, and you're having to be emotionally available as a non-licensed therapist for everyone that's calling and moving their honeymoon, moving their wedding, moving their dream anniversary trip, potentially losing a lot of money. And we bear the brunt of that. And it's something that we were not only grieving our loss, but then we were having to absorb the grief of others. And I think we got beat up a lot, but for the most part, I believe in the good in people, and great people did definitely rise to the surface. And they were more grateful for all that we fought for to help them with. And those people returned, thank goodness. And if you treated people with respect during that time, I believe you retained a lot of clients. But then it really shifted. And this is something that Robin and I talk about a lot, is humanizing the process. And we talk about that in travel. We talk about that in Teak. And we had to humanize the fact that people might not have a lot of money to spend on these big ticket items that we were marketing. And so we implemented payment plans, and we had very honest conversations with people about, okay, well, maybe not at this time, but in 3 months, we know that like, hopefully things will be better by then. But it was very much coming from a place of being empathetic to what they're going through. It goes back to meeting people where they were and having a vulnerability to you. So that was really what working through the pandemic looked like, was kind of emotionally heavy. But I'll let Robin speak on our philosophy of our shift to kind of become recession proof in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the biggest thing for both of us. It's like another client out the window, another commission check that's not coming in, like just so draining. And that's when Teak happened. It was like, how can we recession proof this? How can we add multiple streams of revenue? So it's not just services, because like ultimately services are relying on us. So in order to like make XYZ money, you're like capped, because I can't make 365 brands a year, you know? So we added in our shop, and like we added in our community, and like we added in all these different sorts of revenue streams, so that we're not just relying on services. Cause like if somebody's sick and then our clients move around, it's like a lot. So yeah, we developed some different services. Initially we had website templates that we did only custom websites. And then we were like, well, those are really expensive. That's like a $5,000 investment. And like, it's COVID, like people aren't necessarily getting these big commission checks in the mail. So how can we make this easier? So we took it down to a template. So now for half the price, you can get a beautiful template, but we'll input your images, we'll input your copy, and we'll set you up and push you out into the world. So it feels like you have a totally custom website, but it's not the same ticket. So that was another thing. And then from there, we were like, well, do people need all these like 5 pages? Because we had like a home and about, a process, a services. No, some people just need a landing page. Like, why would they spend over $2,000 on a website? So then we took it down a little further, and it's like, now we have a single page. So if there's an advisor out there and they, just started and they don't have $2,500 like burning a hole in their pocket, they can spend half of that and get a website. Because as we know from the pandemic, online presence is so important. If you are not online, people can't find you. And the storefronts are great, but like, what happens when that goes away again? You have to have an online presence. You have to have like an online strategy. So we wanted to take that and just, again, see people where they're at. We were in this situation as well. We didn't have all this money to spend. So how could we market and encourage people to spend money they didn't have? And then how can we shift products to be still something people need? Because you need a brand, you need a website, you need a good systems, but you need to be able to feel good about your investment. You should never, and I tell people this all the time, if you're going to lie awake at night scared about this isn't the time for you. And that's okay. Like, let's come back to it in 3 months. Like, let's come back to it when you are ready to fully invest in the process. Because even when I had travel clients, they're like, well, I got to take my honeymoon. I'm like, okay, so like you're going to spend $8,000 on a honeymoon where you're sitting in a chair with a mask on, hating your life and scared to death that you're not going to be able to get home. Or we have to change our thought. We do it another time. Like, and that sucked. Like, it was like me marketing people to not go on their trips. But ultimately to me, that's humanizing the process. Cause it's like, if I was a honeymooner and I was afraid to go on my honeymoon and I'm not going to spend $8,000. That's so stupid. So I had to give my travelers permission to be like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to take a beat. I'm going to, put this on a travel credit. Let's revisit it in a couple months or whatever. So I don't know. It was just operating from a place of like, we've been there, we are here. How can we meet each client where they're at as well and give them the best value possible without, hurting their bank account so much? Because investing in your business, that's an investment. That's important. It's going to come back for you tenfold, 100%. But it's a little bit harder to see that investment in a pandemic situation. So that was really important to us in our shift, to kind of find that balance for people.
For the record, Robin was a honeymooner in the pandemic.
I was a honeymooner. Nice. I was a destination bride in the pandemic in Italy on the Amalfi Coast in June of 2020. So if there was somebody who was very human in the process, which is ultimately that's how I got to be the sales numbers that I was. It's sales didn't feel like sales, because sales was like, what do you need? This is how I can help. Am I the right fit for you? I don't know. This is what I offer. This is what Expedia offers. Like, if you're stuck somewhere, Expedia is not going to help you through that. I will. So I think that it helps. And it helps now. It still helps because people are still uncertain about things. They're still going through this, like, I'm just a little nervous, like, and that's where you can really step in and humanize that.
Yeah.
I was like kind of off tangent.
No, but it's so true. There's just a constant, because we're just like, oh, please. And it's starting to feel good now, but it's like also like, but we know now we've been through different variants, but it's just that every country has these different rules that changed really quickly. And you're like, oh my gosh, can we?
Well, you're always like, what's around the corner? Like, what's coming next? It's like always like hesitancy a little bit. So I really understand that. I mean,
well, in the pivots, I mean, we heard about that all through the industry of just different things. It's really cool to see. And you are one of them, to see how, travel advisors found out different ways to still make money during the time and pivot and change and mold. And I mean, it is a success story. So yes, many silver linings, which is cool. But on that though, what are you seeing for 2022 and early 2023? Because we're already almost to March now, so this year's already going to fly. I just can tell.
How is that possible?
I know.
Well, one thing that we're incredibly excited about is growing our community. We launched in November a community called Niche. And what we felt was that all of these advisors are working in silos. So everyone has their own brand. And even if you're part of a host, even if you're part of a consortia, it can feel very lonely, especially now that we're all working from home, even if you were in a brick and mortar before. And so we launched the Niche platform with the concept of bringing people together on a daily basis in a safe space where they can ask business questions. Doesn't have to be about a DMC, doesn't have to be a hotel. It can be about, how are you hiring a VA? What lawyer are you using for your terms and conditions? I want to hire an IC. What does that look like? But it does have industry specific destination questions as well. But the cool thing about the platform, we host monthly guest speakers. We have monthly happy hours and fill your cup sessions with us. We had one yesterday. It was amazing. And we have weekly supplier coffee chats where if you are not getting that connection in the industry, maybe from your host, we're bringing you DMCs, suppliers, hotels every Thursday and making recordings and allowing you to connect with them so that you have those resources. So we're incredibly excited for the growth of Niche over the next year. And that's my personal thing that for 2022, I'm really pumped about.
Yeah, it's been really exciting because it's good for our members, but like suppliers are really excited about it too. Like people are coming to us wanting us to host niche only FAMs with them. So it's really cool to see like this like bridge in the industry. Cause it used to be like, I don't know, when I was an advisor, it was like supplier versus me or something. And it was never like that. But now it's just like this whole little, how can we work together? And it's really cool. I would say the thing I'm most excited about is that me and Jen, since we did outsource, we grew appropriately, we're able to shift out of the nitty gritty business and kind of shift into more of that operational, like big picture and trainings. So we're both very passionate about trainings. We could talk forever about our business. As Jen mentioned, we're doing a bunch of stuff in Niche. And one of the things we're starting is like a weekly mini training. So I'll go live and it'll be things like how I set my focus on my phone. So if people ever want to learn about stuff like that, it's there, it's recorded, whether they can make the live and like chat it up and hang out with me or not and catch it later. It's all just that nugget of information where it's like, yeah, we know how to book a trip. Like, but what about like, how do you set rules in your inbox so that your inbox isn't just constant clutter of nonsense? Like, so now it's streamlined and there's folders and things are organized automatically. I talk about Zapier and ClickUp and all the things that we use to make our business easier. It does apply to travel advisors. So people can either choose to use it or, learn a little bit about it, but it kind of just treating your business like a business. It is about travel. It is about all the good stuff, but it's also about giving people that like trainings and stuff that we find a lot of success in with our own business. So I'm really excited about that and being able to be a little less like in the weeds of client projects and more like big picture marketing, a lot of outreach, like affiliate relationships down the line. Like there's a lot of cool stuff we have that we're excited about. So yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. There's so much fun stuff going on. And how would anybody get more information on Niche and also Teak?
Yeah, so I would say the best place to start is our website. It's Teak HQ, TIQUEHQ@.com. I was like at Gmail, teakhq.com. And that has a link to our niche. So people can check out our various memberships. We offer 3 different memberships because again, everyone's in a different place financially, and that shouldn't deter you from getting the support you need for your business. So we have 3 different membership plans there that you can look at. We offer, all of the information about our branding packages, our website packages, and our systems packages are up there as well. Yeah. And then hang out with us on the Instagram. I say that's where like the most valuable content comes from. A lot of people will just stay there and just consume so much of that content before they're like, okay, I got to do something with you. I don't know what it is. Can you help me figure it out? But I would say we dish out a lot of free content on there. There's a lot of really good conversation inside of our community in Instagram. That's all free. So that's another really good place to start. Our handle is at Teak HQ. So
awesome. That's cool. I'm going to go there after this and check everything out.
Get
All the
out.
tips, all the productivity tips. Like that's what's blowing my mind.
I love it. I love it.
So cool, man. This has been so fun. I feel like we could, I have so many questions I could keep asking you both. Cause it's just so awesome. I love the business that you've built and continuing to grow. I mean, it's just incredible. So congrats again on all the success of that too. And thank you so much again for everyone for tuning into this episode of the Lounge of Travefy Academy. And thank you to our special guests, Jennifer and Robin, for joining us here today. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of the latest episodes. And we hope you enjoyed our conversation today and join us again. But for now, stay safe and we will catch you on the next flight.